try, I won't fail. Right? Which is true. If you don't try, you won't fail. But if you never fail, you never have that opportunity for growth. So we're getting into the year where the stuff gets more complex. You gotta give it a shot on your own to see if you're able to do it or where you get stuck and what you need help on. So I'm going to read the paragraph really quickly, then we'll dive into 93, and I'm going to give you guys good chunks of time to work independently today. And then Ms. Price and I will be cycling around the room to help you if you need. So in the last few lessons, you used algebra tiles and equation events to solve these problems, and they represented specific numbers, variables, numbers that we had to figure out. Tile and equation mat tools are related to the process you use to solve word problems. A specific value being an unknown that can be solved for, or a range of unknowns, right? When we solve the inequalities. Today we'll connect these two things and explore the 5D process again to extend our repertoire. That's a fun word, repertoire. Who's in music? Who knows what repertoire means? Or anybody knows what repertoire means? Your repertoire is like what you know, what you have to pull from. So if you're a musician, your repertoire might be music you know you can play. So like, oh, I can play that song. Like, oh, I can solve an equation. Oh, I can solve a two-step process. So check this out. Now, I will put a challenge out there. In honor of my sister-in-law being from Michigan, I'm going to make Lake Michigan be the challenge, whatever you want to say. The first group to be able to tell me how much water is in Lake Michigan. You'll get them. No. A lot is not a numerical amount of water. There we go. We'll say that. So also for our classmates playing along at home, there's your homework. 97 to 102, please. Hey guys, I put this here to remind me. That 5 minutes, I know some of you guys trailing late because creative started or whatever else. You should be asking me questions. I can almost guarantee you're not able to solve every homework problem in every homework. So especially tomorrow, I want you guys to ask me questions during that time from the homework. Like there's a problem in tonight's homework about factoring. Factoring is still kind of difficult for us. There's a problem about solving an equation. Use that 5 minutes to have me solve your homework problems for you. You've got to try it on your own first so you can figure out what you can and can't do. So try 93 here. Read through it with your group, highlight, underline, whatever. Well, don't highlight in the book, but lay out what is important and solve it in whatever way you feel best. 5D could work, but it might take a little longer. So you can also use your equation solving techniques. Dive in. I'm going to give you at least 5 minutes. Well, I'm just going to reset the 5-minute timer and give you at least that long. There we go. What does each lake reference? Yeah, that's our labels, cubic. So cubic mile, literally cubic mile. Like think of a mile cube. That's how big the Great Lakes are. So that's why they're talking in cubic miles. So you have cubic inches, right? Inch cube, cubic feet, foot, about the size of a basketball, just make it a cube. Cubic mile. What lake do they all reference, though? They keep saying more than Lake Michigan, right? Lake Michigan should be your base reference point that gets the variable. Lake Michigan should be getting the variable. best solution you got. Right? Got about a minute left. Anyone close?
Not at all.
Yes.
Getting close. Okay. Once you know Michigan, you should be able to solve all of the other lakes. Well, I mean, you're right. Once Lake Michigan is your answer. Why does it seem like you're a lot further along than that? Aren't we partners? Shouldn't we be like working together? Why does it seem like you have a lot more work than me? I'm sure we're sharing. Like, you can be working off of the paper. You can be asking, what are you doing? Guys, you and your partner need to have the same thing down. You need to be working on the same thing at the same time, or you're not a partnership. Ooh, wait, what did you just say? I have an answer for what? Then you don't have an answer. Because it's your partnership, your group. Everybody has to have the work that makes sense to them.
I got numbers close out. I got all the right numbers, but two of them are flipped.
And fix it. And you said you have like Michigan? You have like Michigan? I mean, it can't just be guess check if they gave us information, right? Like they gave us very specific information. I'm fairly certain most of us had that Lake Superior was M plus 1720. And I believe as I walked around, most of us had that Huron is M minus 330 if we set up the 5D process. It's a bit more work, but we can set up Michigan, Superior, Huron, give each of them a column, guess for Michigan, calculate Superior, calculate Huron. Then what are we going for? What's the goal here? The total of 4,930, you said? Okay. And then we would decide if we're too low, too high, right? Is there another way that we've been talking about last week that's easier and actually more efficient? Not just easier, but it actually works better. Grant?
What I did was, I sort of.
You guys got it? You know, Michigan? What are we talking about? Not math. I mean, just like, not math, right? Yeah. Can we, like, focus for like 20 more minutes? I'm just trying to make sure we all understand how to do this stuff. Because at the end of the year, it's not me who has to pass the test. It's 11 to 1 8th grade. It's you guys. So, if your partnership is not functioning as a partnership for math, that's on you. Alright, we spent a lot of time trying to figure this out this year, and what you guys have resoundingly said is you want to be able to just pick who you want. It's fine. You have to work on that. Sorry, Grant.
So what I did is I took the total of 4,930, and I know that 330 is a negative. 1,720 is a positive.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know that we're trying to get
when I walked around, your paper had a bracket here, and then over here you had what, 49.30, wasn't it? So really, what Grant was saying, Lake Michigan plus Lake Superior plus Lake Huron equals 4,930. But I don't want to use 3 variables. What's it called when I plug something in for something? Yeah. What? Substitution. So instead of using those, well, Michigan can stay M, but Superior is M plus 1720. And guys, if you don't have this worked out, even if you have the 5B process, please go ahead and write this down. Huron's Michigan minus 330, and they all add to 4930. Sorry, Grant, I'm going to go to cards now. What is the next part of my process? Once I lay out my expressions for what I have in the problem, we'll shuffle up. Sorry, Alex, we'll go ahead and go to you. Combine like terms. I can't do inside this parentheses, and I can't do inside of there. So I go and I collect my like terms. Positive M, positive M, positive M. What do I get? 3M, positive 1720, negative 330. What do we get? I think it's 1390. Yeah, 1390. Because if I take away just the 300, that'd be 1420. Then take away the 30, and we're at 1390. And that equals 4,930. Delaney, what would I do now? We're actually still working to combine like terms, but you know what I do this step? You know, you can always pass. Zoe? Why? We're working in the end to get just M alone. Zoe says to get 3M alone, I got to get rid of the 1390. Please make sure you show on your paper we subtract the 1390 from both sides. That is going to leave me 3M equal to, say 3,400. 3540.
Yep.
Yeah. Then Ella. Yeah, we know the label. That's miles cubed, not miles squared, miles cubed. Literally cubic miles. Thousands of cubic miles of water. How do I figure out Superior or Huron? Alex?
You take like Michigan and like add at how many it needs.
If I come back to the original setup that we had, we can plug it back in. And that's how we could check our work. All right, now a couple of you had individually gotten to your answers, but you weren't working with your partners on the last one. In 94, I'll put the same challenge to you. If you solve for the variable, and you're the first group, not you and your partner, you both understand, you both have the work written out, prize on the table. If anybody has questions on this or the previous one, stick up a hand. I'm going to go back to the previous one and show that work. Keep it up here for a minute. But if anybody has questions on this, please stick up a hand. I'm going to reset the timer again. We'll give you 6 minutes on this one. smaller numbers, it should be slightly easier.
What's going on? Because it looks like we're just staring at our desk hoping for answers to pop out.
Can you smell? Because every time I walk away, you just stop walking.
What's going on? Do we need help? Or are you just choosing not to look? Or you just want to sit in the office and just write your name down there just so we can look? What, choosing not to write down your name is the problem? Because it's icy. Do you know how to do this? Could you just do this right now? To watch your phone? Could you not do this? Essentially, it's a giant red cross that says make patients help. It's the only reason I keep getting everything done. You just showed me what you did. And leave it alone. I want you to get a lot faster. And you just say, oh, I'm sorry, you're so frustrated. Nothing. Figure out if you can help it. The real my question is your homework completely done? By putting your mentor notes in your notepad? Does that mean you did good or didn't? You don't know if you did good. You know it's not easy. So you just told me you know how to do it. Why is your homework not done if you know how to do it? Homework, classwork, other classwork, there's all the doodles.
Good morning, Christian Freeman, please come to the office. Christian Freeman, please come to the office. Thank you.
Saving education costs for that probably too, but you really have to go through training. That's all. So 6:15 is the last time you do it? Did you do it all week? And you had no other time running because you also don't have 6:2 at home, do you? Is that homework or classwork? Okay, so that's not done either. So that's not ideal. Can you do this on your own? Can you like, do you really think you can with confidence say yes? Would you try this math the other way with math writing? Try playing acting. Try acting. You're hiding behind the fact that you don't get the math right. You're not attached. You are being puny calls.
That is weight loss.
That is attached. Throughout the rest of class, you don't put a switch in. You just stand there and listen to them. You're calling your parents to school. They're grabbing you in the front office or whatever. You're gonna tell your parents to take the wire behind your math test and explain why they're working. Otherwise, you better make a decision right now so you can start out the day. You still have every opportunity to go home. So that you at least last week and after this week.
Mr. Hudson.
Everybody has the work written down?
Yes. Good morning, Christian Freeman, please come to the office. Christian Freeman, please come to the office. Thank you.
Is that a negative? No, I'm just joking. Come on. Penelope, is your group completely done? Allie, is your group ready? Yes? Kate, is your group done? Same group. Eleanor, is your group done? Bananas.
Wait, do I have to grab the lights?
After class, grab. Sorry, I was busy chatting with a classmate. I used random selection. Welcome to the world of unbiased. That was not biased. That was random selection. You're gonna hate this worse. I'm sorry. You're the next one. You were literally the next part. So, if we look at this problem, Gemma started the 5D process, although it's unnecessary. She said we know gold medals, 2x, silver is what we're referencing, and bronze is 1 less than the silver. If we solve this as an equation, what would be my equation after we combine the like terms? Essentially step 1, like once we put this together. Patrick?
It would be 4x plus negative 11. I mean, sorry, 4x plus negative 1 equals 11.
We know that their total number of metals needs to be 11. We know that what we use to represent them has 4 x's and a negative 1. I like that you said plus negative 1. We could also say 4x minus 1. We then, Annika, want to do what? Yeah, we are still combining like terms, but how? Because I can't combine these. Those are not like. Okay, so just put the negative 1 with the 11. What is taking away negative 1, Ray? Add negative 1? Add positive 1. Careful. We're trying to make 0. So we add positive 1. Just be careful how you say it. We get 4x is 12. We then, Matt, what do we do now? Divide by 4, and we get 3. That's how we find our silver. To find your gold, plug them back in. Now that we know that x is 3, gold must be 6, and bronze must be absolute. Questions? You are correct. Welcome to it. Taxes. Okay, you don't have to use the 5D process, but I bet if I give you 6 minutes, you can solve both of these. You can use the equation solving process. Actually, I'm going to make these bigger. Apparently, I'm a no one. So you said everyone. For what it's worth, I have a wider wingspan than Michael Phelps. Your wingspan is approximately how tall you are. So it's close. Yes. I think I'm taller than you too, but that's not the point. The point is your wingspan, because in swimming, it's like
You're accurate.
I swear. Yeah, measurement tapes. Well, Monica, if I could find the measuring tapes, I would prove it. How much longer do we have? 55. Well, I know, but I mean, for the 6, I'm trying very hard to give you guys as long as I saw. That timer up on the screen, I was giving you guys a set amount of time. Ten seconds. And Mr. Cooper, what did you do first in this problem?
We figured out that his height was his arm span -7.
Ooh, okay, so you looked at this differently. They said if they know the arm span is 7 more than height, then they kind of flipped that statement and said that height is, what'd you guys say? A minus 7. So the other way that we could have said this, if we did it the way their statement said it, arm span is height plus 7, right? But if I take 7 away from this, take 7 away from there, I get h. Either one of these would have been perfectly fine. You can't use both, but either of these would have been fine. Then what? Sorry, then Aubrey, what'd you guys do? Setting it up. Do we know anything else? No other information. Total amount of what? So if we talk arm span, so we say span and height totaled 221. If we're just laying out what we know. I don't have to know how to solve it immediately, just lay out what we know. Maybe a lot of people say. Liam, what could I do next?
Since the span and the height are the same thing when you subtract 7.
They're not the same thing, though. Most normally, like a normal person, your span would be the same as your height. Mine's not. My span is bigger than my height, actually. Yours might be smaller right now, and then that might change. His is not the same.
Anyway, I divided by 2. 221
Nathan?
subtract 7. Subtract 7.
But why?
Because it's 7, which is more, and then divide by 2.
We have to replace something. Right? Nathan knows what to do, but I'm concerned that he won't know what to do in every problem. And a lot of you are sitting here saying you don't know what to do. These are not the same. They said normally. Normally they're the same. I need to replace either this for my arm span, right? Fill in h plus 7 and then fill this in for h. Or this can fill in for my height, whatever I want to do. So if I make my arm span, we can just call that A for arm span, plus my height is A minus 7, or, and this is the problem, you've got options. That's why I'm having you guys do it on your own and see if you get the right answer. Since you told me to minus 7, I'm going to set this up as arm span is H plus 7 and height is H. So what I did, I can't do that with both of you. I broke my smartboard. This will probably catch up in a moment. We filled in for the arm span. I don't know if it'll catch up or not, maybe. I really don't know what's going on.
There's a little timer in the corner.
I know, that's still going for my recording. But seems like Smart has frozen. And the chalkboard never breaks. Well, okay, it could break. So, we have h plus 7 plus h, so really we have 2h plus 7. Please make sure that you either have 2h plus 7 equals 221, or you could have 2a or 2s minus 7. You could actually have either, but it depends whether you're going to solve for height or solve for arm span. So this is why Nathan said subtract 7. We can subtract 7 from both sides. Find out that 2 times the height would be, you know it, 200, not 7, 14. Now, Liam, what can we do? Divide by 2. And we get h is 107. To find his arm span is the height plus 7. So what's his arm span? 114, right? Just add 7 to what I got. I've never had this totally stop responding. Are we done with the animals holding their breath, or do you need more time? The next problem, part B. Animals holding their breath. Check it out. Take a minute to wrap that up if you haven't yet. Animals holding their breath. I'm going to try to recover my smartboard. You are having a moment. Yes. Well, it's like a minute. Well, I appreciate it. So otherwise, I might have gone to the wrong places this evening. Done the wrong stuff.